This is Two For Enterprises on why every black parent should teach their children about the Floating Freedom School. But before we get into that, I'd like you to ask yourself, do you want your children to be better than you are in terms of education and where they go in life? How do you want them to be able to communicate? How do you feel about them being able to be competitive in this world? To be able to speak like this lady.
To share with you briefly that in 1945, 13 Jewish men met in the library. They didn't even have a place to meet. This was soon after Holocaust. The ideas they came up with during that meeting were based on two facts, two realizations that there was a need for them to unite, for them to speak with one voice when it comes to issues pertaining to them and their country. They also realized that their unity was useless if they did not back it up with financial resources. So that is all they did. They united. They said, we may not like each other as individuals, but when it comes to their Jewishness, when it comes to Israel, they stick together like superglue. They also pulled out their financial resources. If I may stop for a second, use Israel as an example and the Jewish people. The Jewish people own this little bitty tiny little piece of land which is a desert. There's only 50 million Jews around the world compared to Africa. We have the largest landmass on earth, richest continent on earth, and over 400 million African diaspora. The Jews, with their little bitty country that is a desert, financially they control the world whether you like it or not. When those Americans...
Let's talk about John Berry Meacham's Floating Freedom School, Essential History for Black Families. The ingenuity and resilience shown by African Americans in the quest for education before the Civil War is encapsulated in the remarkable story of the John Berry Meacham Floating Freedom School. Who was John Berry Meacham? Biography-wise, he was born into slavery in 1789 in Virginia, emerged as a significant figure in education and spiritual guidance of African Americans in Missouri. By age 21, he had purchased his freedom and subsequently secured the freedom of his family through carpentry skills. Meacham moved to St. Louis in 1815, where he became a prosperous businessman and respected business leader. His dedication to education and the welfare of his community led him to establish the first African Baptist church in St. Louis by 1827, which served both as a place of worship and education institution for black residents, irrespective of their financial status. Now, the church served more than one purpose, especially education. The significance of the Freedom School: it faced harsh regulations against the education of African Americans. Meacham ingeniously responded by establishing the Floating Freedom School in 1847. This school was located on a steamboat in the Mississippi River, strategically positioned beyond the reach of Missouri restrictive laws. The boat was equipped with necessary educational materials and served as a safe haven where both free and enslaved African Americans could learn to read and write, thus fostering a sense of empowerment and resistance against oppressive structures. Meacham School not only proved basic education and provided it, but also he had vocational training, helping individuals to build sustainable lives after gaining their freedom. His efforts were instrumental in nurturing future leaders like James Milton Turner, highlighting the profound long impact of the Floating Freedom School of the African American community. The lessons from this Freedom School talks about the innovation in adverse conditions, because he had to be innovative under the challenging circumstances to the response of 1847 Missouri legislation that prohibited the education of African Americans. So Meacham creatively established a school on a steamboat in the Mississippi River, outside of the state's jurisdiction. Now, this bold move not only circumvented restrictive laws, but also provided a safe learning environment for both free and enslaved black students. The school was equipped with library, table, benches, and other classroom necessities, demonstrating Meacham's unwavering commitment to education despite societal constraints. This was despite that it was against the law to teach slaves how to read. The success of this Floating Freedom School was not solely due to Meacham's effort, but also the collective support of the community. Where's our community? Teachers from the East, moved by Meacham's defiance, joined his cause, contributing to the school's operation and enhances its educational offerings. The impact on future generations is because the legacy of the Floating Freedom School remains a testament to the resilience and ingenuity of African Americans in their pursuit of education under oppressive conditions. The school's establishment on a steamboat in the Mississippi River was a direct response to Missouri's anti-literacy laws, providing a safe space for both free and enslaved black students to learn. This defiance against unjust laws and Meacham's dedication to education have left lasting ripples, inspiring subsequent generations to value and fight for their education, their right to education, to be competitive in this world. That's what we should want for our children and for ourselves. Although in 1860, it marked the end of an era by the school's closing, its impact extended far beyond its operational years, serving as a beacon of hope and a model of resistance. Now, one of the things that we have to understand is that, how does this relate to today? How do we use that? And so practical steps for modern education advocacy, incorporating this history into modern education to make history relevant and engaging. Educators should weave narratives that connect students with the world around them, highlighting the role of black leaders and innovators in shaping society. This approach not only fosters a deeper understanding of cultural and societal dynamics, but also boosts students' academic and social engagement. Lesson plans and learning modules should be infused with stories of joy and resilience from black history, not just European history, representing African Americans as heroes, as their own narrative. We're not looking up to nobody else's heroes. We already got heroes. Your mom and your daddy, your grandmother, and them all are heroes. So we can empower our children through historical awareness. I thought that this was a great topic because, you see, I didn't even know this, but I search for history. I try to read and research because we can't know everything. But we have people around us that know. And so if they teach us, we'll know. But also, take a point from Mr. Meacham. Search for knowledge on your own. Don't wait on somebody to do something for you. Now, this lady, Dr. Arikana, is looking for help, and we should help her.